Now, for those who would be concerned, I will create a lecture today, a 30-minute lecture, if you would be interested in hearing about the Bible and the Quran as it relates to reality itself and the purpose of these mysterious books. Now, not a lot of people understand what the purpose of these books really are. And that will be the objective of this lecture, to explain exactly what these books are, the purpose of these books, and how it can help you in your daily life. Now, when it comes to individual life, each and every one of us is not an aspect, not part and parcel, not a certain being within the bigger being, but each and every one of us are the entire being of existence. And that is the secret that not a lot of people know, that only 0.001% of the population know, is that each and every one of us are the Godhead experiencing itself from different points of view. Now, that's a very interesting and it's a very daunting thing to come to terms with. Because when you come to terms with this, it is like coming to the realization that there is no authority higher than your own authority. Now, that's a peculiar thing for us in this culture to come to terms with, because many of us, since birth, have had authority reigning over our heads when it comes to parental guidance and guidance from teachers and police and government authority and so on. We have always thought that there is an authority above us. But in truth and in actuality, reality itself is a mirror of you. For this simple fact, think about this. Your consciousness, the consciousness that you have, is not different from the world that it experiences. You can never separate your own consciousness from the experiential world. Your consciousness is the same as the experiential world. Think about this. Have you ever seen your own face? You have never seen your own face, except maybe on camera. I'm looking at my own face now at this moment, on camera, in the mirror. But this is not my face. What I'm looking at now is representation of my face, is a digital representation of my face. And then in the mirror, it is a digital light reflection of my own face. It is, of course, not my own face. When we take the Prophet Muhammad, Muhammad has no face. You could never represent Muhammad as having a face. His face is represented as white, as blank, because you can never see it. In the same way, you can never see your own face. Christianity should follow suit in the same way that Islam represents their prophet. In Jesus, you should not represent Jesus' face, but rather Jesus should have a blank face, because it's you. It's your own face that you could never see. So your consciousness could never turn on itself and look at itself, of course, because it is itself. It is the same thing as the world. So when you experience different outcomes in your life, when you experience different happenings in your life, that is an exact reflection of your internal world, of what is going on inside. So if, say, no one believes what I'm saying, that would only be the result of me not believing what I'm saying. And if I were to fully know that what I'm saying is truth, then others would follow suit. And if it was half and half, then maybe half people would disbelieve, half people would believe. Now, that gives rise to the question, who are you? Well, as I have said, you are the ultimate authority over your own life. Everything happens because of you. Movies are phenomenal because in movies, the main character always gets out of trouble and always, usually, ends up as the victor in the story that the main character is playing. And now, if you see yourself in the main character, that leaves an impression on you, on your subconscious. And when it leaves an impression on your subconscious, you create your own reality in a similar way. Now, that is the purpose of the Quran and of the Bible, to help you to create your own reality in a sane, moralistic, and beautiful type of way, godly type of way. Now, when reading the Bible, I looked into the Bible and I read it. My goal, my intention was to read it straight from finish, straight beginning to end. And I was very confused at the beginning, at the Torah and the Old Testament. So I was wondering, what is the point of just telling me how many cubits of length are the temple of God, how much gold was put into it, how it was constructed, and all sorts of things. I was very confused and kind of bored at numbers and deuteronometry, if I even pronounced that correctly. But what I came to realize was that it was a numerical code book, which when you read it in the same way that movies impress your subconscious and impress your mind in different ways, in different sneaky ways that you could never pick up on, the Bible does the same thing. And the Bible is necessarily a code book. There is such a thing as a Torah code, which includes all of the events of human history for me, for you, and for every single person that has ever existed in history. That book contains all of the events that has gone on in every single person's life, every single nation's life, and every single happening on Earth. The Torah was actually discovered in a black rock that was encoded, not exactly with Hebrew, but it was translated into Hebrew. And this mysterious black rock was found to contain all of the events in human history. Now, this Torah, which is books 1 to 5 in the Bible, is a code sequence of events that help you to code your mind to create your reality in a sufficient way. I am doing this lecture right now. I am living my life in this certain way because I have read most of the Torah. Actually, all of the Torah. I've read all of the Torah. Wow, impressive. And I am living out my life because the Torah has encoded my brain in a certain way. Now, it's not only a code book, and the New Testament, I feel, is a bit different, but the four Gospels are similar to the Old Testament books, which are metaphors and codes for different aspects and states of consciousness of your own mind. Abraham, Moses, Isaac, Jacob, all different parts of your experiential consciousness. Jacob, I would assume, if I could even put it into words, is the mysterious aspect of your mind, which looks into the nature of reality and experiences it from that point of view. I could never say exactly what Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob represent. However, Moses, for me, is easier. Moses refers to the protection of the law. And the law, as I explained earlier, is the reflection of life. So life reflects exactly what you are. And so if you feel poorly, then life will reflect to you poorly. The people in your life will reflect to you exactly what you are. And their behaviors will mimic or will be exactly what you are. If you feel hopeful, if you feel glad, if you feel holy, then the people in your life will reflect that back to you. Not just because of the energy that you exude and they're just reacting to it, but because they are you. Okay? Everybody is you. Now, Jesus is an interesting one. Jesus is the basis from which all of our consciousness comes, from which everything that we experience comes. Jesus, the revelation of Christ Jesus, is the revelation that what is going on now, your own consciousness, here. I'm sure you've experienced this before, but haven't known what it is or how to put it into words. Jesus itself is the realization that your consciousness, is the only thing that's happening at this moment, the only thing happening ever, meaning that you are the only one, you are the only being. And as I have said before, each and every one of us is the only being, because that is the only way it could be. There could never be more than one consciousness, because if there were, I don't even know if there could be more than one consciousness. But the way things are is that there is only one consciousness, and that all of us are really that one consciousness. I like the representation in Buddhism or Hinduism. I'm not sure exactly where it comes from. Oh, by the way, in Buddhism, the whole thing is that you realize that you're the one self. In Islam and Christianity, it's a lot more mystic. I like the representation of there is one face, there's another here, sharing the same eye, another in the back, sharing that same eye, another here, and another here. But it's all one consciousness. I like to see it as that. And it is what's behind your eyes, which is the origin of everything. And what's behind your eyes is nothingness. And nothingness is what you experience when you die. The nothingness, the letting go, nirvana. Nirvana, nothingness. So the Bible is not only a code book, but it's very interesting. It's more of a living book, as with the Quran is a living book. The Quran mentions the people of the book, the believers and the disbelievers. And in the Bible, it is the same way. Israel, we always mention Israel, and Jerusalem and Judah. Now, where is Jerusalem? Well, of course, Jerusalem is here. Where is Judah? Well, of course, Judah is here, in the heart. Where is Assyria? Well, Assyria, you could liken it to Mars, to what Mars represents. The war type aspect of us, the aggressive aspect of us, the assertive aspect of us, the king of Assyria. And sometimes the king of Assyria can lay waste to Israel. And what does Israel mean? Well, is real. What do you think that means? Israel is what is real. And what is an idol? An idol is a representation of something else. Say we make an idol, a golden idol of a calf. A golden idol of a calf, well, that's not really a calf, but it's an idol. It's a representation. And so you can't live your life simply representing the world in thought form and idealizing it. Because if you do that, you're not really worshiping the Lord. But rather you are living in delusion, an illusion, in thought. And so that's why they say do not worship idols, because an idol is a false representation of reality. But Israel is what is real, is what is actual, the actual world, what I see right in front of me. And who is the Lord? Who do we refer to as the Lord? Well, obviously it's me. Because who am I? Well, I am the one being. And everything is dependent on how I feel and on what I do, because we create our own reality. And so we have different thoughts in our head. We have different functions of our psyche. And those different functions and thoughts and areas of the brain, we could say, are represented as different areas around the map in the Bible. Now, when the Lord takes the Israelites out of Egypt, the Lord takes the Israelites out of slavery. What do we become slaves to? Idols and false representations of what reality really is. And now when you read the Bible, it's very useful to refer to yourself as the Lord, to refer to yourself as God. Now, I love Psalms. Psalms is very, very flattering, I would say, to me, to the Lord, because if you read Psalms, it talks a lot about God, our God, save us from our misery. We have been attacked by our enemies on all sides. I know you will restore us to greatness. You will restore us to sanity. You will restore us to the greatness that we once were. The book is talking to you. The book is a love letter, essentially, to you, and also a useful tool in order to code your own mind, to code your own brain into functioning properly, into functioning, as it were, in a way that would serve the Lord, that would serve God. And of course, who are we serving? Who are the people of the book serving? The people of the book in here. The people of the book are serving you, are serving God, because you are God. And of course, in this culture, it's not a very attractive thing to say that you are God, although it's becoming more mainstream and understandable. You'll see a lot of videos on YouTube, a lot of smart spiritual teachers explaining that you are God. And that is the purpose of this zeitgeist, is for all of us to come to the realization that we are God and that we are the same being and that there is one being. That is the basic fact of all life, but it is the highest pinnacle. Now, what is the cornerstone? The cornerstone is Jesus. And the cornerstone is the block that the builders rejected. And now, what is the block that you rejected at first? Well, it's yourself. And you build upon yourself. You build your identity, you build your ego, but you forget the cornerstone, the block that created or started the whole pyramid, which is you. And then the chief cornerstone, of course, is the tip of the pyramid. And the tip of the pyramid is also Jesus, the chief cornerstone. So we start with the cornerstone, which is you, but we forget the cornerstone. The builders rejected it, which is you are the builders, but you forgot about yourself. You build, and then at a certain point, you're like, wait, I've built this whole career, I built this whole identity, I built this whole thought structure, but who built it? Who is doing it? And then that's when you add the final piece to the pyramid, which is the all-seeing eye, the chief cornerstone, which, of course, is Christ Jesus, which is the realization that it's you, that you are the one living your life, that you are Jesus. And of course, it's very unattractive in this culture to say you are Jesus. But of course, there's only one Jesus, and Jesus is you. And once you cap the pyramid is completed. And the all-seeing eye, of course, what is the all-seeing eye? The all-seeing eye is the eye that sees all, is Muhammad's missing face, is your own consciousness. And then once you acknowledge your own consciousness, once you know it, once you essentially bring it into being, then that's when you're completed. You realize, I am the one, this is the only thing that's happening right now. The only thing. My consciousness is the only thing that's happening right now. That's when the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, which is the all-seeing eye, is me, which sees all. Because can I find something else going on besides now? Besides myself? No, I couldn't. And of course, when Jesus was crucified, you're laying on your bed, oh God, you're in suffering, you're in pain, mental anguish, and you finally come to the realization, wait, who's suffering? Who is it? Just like the Buddha sitting at the tree. Whether or not Jesus or the Buddha existed is not the purpose of this. I don't think they did. I think they were representations. Well, they are actually. And this is coming from the universal intelligence that's telling me this. That Jesus and the Buddha are representations of you, of the final piece of you. Now, when a man finishes his career in society, he's supposed to retire. And when he retires, he doffs his position in society and he goes off into the forest or whatever, goes on to his retirement home, and then he goes to explore himself. He goes to put the final piece of the pyramid on top, which, of course, is himself. Now, the Quran, I love the Quran. When you read the Quran, it is useful and it is correct to refer to yourself as Allah. Now, the words I am about to read are referring to when it's giving the commands of the people of the book. The people of the book are in here. They're the disbelievers, the doubts. Then there are the believers, which the ones who believe in you, in the Lord, and serve the Lord. And when everybody in the whole thing, in the whole mind serves the Lord, that's when you're functioning at your highest ability. And reading the Bible is exactly that. It's exactly preparing your mind to serve the Lord, which is yourself. So read the Bible as if you are God, as if the Lord is referring to yourself. And read the Quran as if the Quran is referring to yourself. Now, the book actually talks to you. The book is actually living. It is code. And it repeats certain phrases because it is code. And as you read along with it, as you change, the book changes. And the book catches up with you and helps the people in your mind to essentially serve Allah. And do you know what Allah stands for? Allah. Arm, leg, arm, head. Allah. Notice how we have 5 fingers, 5 extremities. Allah is you. Because there couldn't be any other Allah besides you. Besides me. I shouldn't say you. It would be correct to say me. And when you talk about yourself or Allah, you say, I'm Allah, not someone else, but I am. This is a book, the Quran, sent down unto you, O Prophet. So do not let your heart be held back by any difficulty because of it. And with it, you may warn the disbelievers and teach the believers. Now, a prophet is Zeus, and Zeus is the lightning bolt, the sudden realization that saves you. And a prophet is less than Jesus, because Jesus encompasses everything. When you realize Jesus, it's the eternal bliss. It's the eternal Savior, because you realize everything is me. Everything is me, and I am everything. So if I am everything and everything is me, well, what can harm me forever and ever? So a prophet is, say, like, I realize something deep. That's a saving prophet. But if the prophet starts to worship idols, which means starts to idolize the thought instead of relate the thought to reality, that's when you burn the prophet and kill the prophet. O people, follow the revealed teachings given to you from your Lord, and do not follow any false gods other than him. Because, of course, the only God is you. The only God is me. You remember little of the warning given to you. And how many towns have we destroyed? for the sins of the people? How many towns? How many thought structures have we dismantled? Our punishment took them all of a sudden by night or during their sleep for their afternoon rest. When our punishment got them, they did not say anything except this: truly we did wrong. Then surely shall we ask those to whom our message was sent, and those messengers by whom we sent it. Messengers, thoughts. Then surely we shall bring up their whole story with full knowledge, for we were never absent at any time or place. Now, who are we referring to as we? It's me and them. Now, them is the collective consciousness that exists all around you. All around you, if you pay attention, there is an intelligence which, when the Lord sacrificed his only begotten Son for the sake of the world, for the sake of the sins of the world, I split myself into two. I have me, and then the rest of the world, which is also me, the greater part of me. I wouldn't say greater because they're both equal, but the part of me that has all intelligence. You see, because I'm the Son, and then there's the Father, everywhere out here. If you pay attention closely, the world itself is intelligent, just like us. Of course, because we are intelligent, the world itself also is a mirror of that. So the world itself is also intelligent as well. Because there could never be intelligent beings in a universe that is unintelligent. Figs don't grow on thistles, as they say in the Bible. So the world itself is intelligent, just as we are. We just have to catch up with it. And the weighing balance on that day will be true. Those whose scale of good deeds will be heavy shall prosper by entering into the paradise. Those of good deeds will be heavy. So those thought structures, essentially. My favorite is Satan. Allah said, I said, "What prevented you, O Satan, from bowing down when I commanded you?" He, Satan, said, "I am better than he, Adam. You created me from fire, and him, Adam, from clay." Allah said, "Get yourself down of it, paradise. It is not for you to be arrogant here. Get out, because you are disgraced and shameful." He, Satan, said, "Give me respite till the day of resurrection, when we are raised up." Now, I think it is very useful advice to make friends with Satan, because when you make friends with Satan, you have identified the enemy. And when you make friends with the enemy, there is no one left to fight. No one left to fight you. And now this whole book, they said, they meaning the people, "Our Lord, we have wronged our own souls. If you will not forgive us and grant from your mercy upon us, we shall certainly be losers." Allah said, "Get yourselves down with enmity between yourselves. On earth shall be your place to live, and your means of livelihood for a time." Now, what is earth? What is earth and heaven? Heaven is up here, where Allah resides, where God resides, where the Lord resides. And earth, obviously, is earth, down here. And now heaven exactly represents earth. Now, I will bring another book before we close. The I Ching. Now, the I Ching speaks solely of the relation between earth and heaven and how to navigate earth and heaven if you are a little blind to the relation between earth and heaven. Now, a lot of people are afraid of the Quran. A lot of people are afraid of the Bible. Well, what I will say is this. People are only afraid of it because they think that the Quran and the Bible are referring to them, and they have to serve another thing. But no, it's the opposite way. They are God, and the believers and the disbelievers are the mind.